conversation with.
Hi guys, welcome to another session of In Conversation with series. For those of you who don't know, I'm Sparsh Gupta. I'm a visual artist currently based in Gurgaon. I have been trained in classical art and I love working with oil on canvas. And obviously, like any other contemporary artist in today's world, I do enjoy tapping into different mediums, and I have explored art and fashion together in the past also quite a few times. And also in the present, that's what I'm doing. So here with Art and Artisans, basically what we are trying to do is create ways to increase youth engagement with the art and artisan society in general. And also to have, we are directly affiliated with GCF, which is the Global Challenges Forum. And a plan is to uplift the artisan society in India. And these conversations with series is basically we all are linking up with different creatives that we know in the industry who are working and have a session with them, have just a normal conversation that we would normally have with any creative individual. And, hopefully you guys can get something out of it and that adds to your knowledge bank or that helps you get some inspiration. So today we have Lavanya with us. She is a multi-talented person. Her poetry is visual narratives, and she has been working in the film industry. She has been working professionally as a set designer, and Lavanya also she manages to do that role, and at the same point of time work in her personal time. She loves working on her personal projects and visual narratives through photography. So basically, Lavanya has been a big help to many creative individuals, wherein she helps them to actually recreate and translate their 2D artworks to an actual installation piece and make them more interactive. To name a contemporary artist, that would be Lavanya has worked with Sam Matutu in Bombay. And so, welcome, Lavanya.
Hi, Sparsh. Nice to see you.
So, Lavanya, a bit of back history about both of us. Lavanya has been a dear friend of mine, and we met through a common link of sharing some time in the educational world together while we were honing our skills, so to say.
Yeah.
Lavanya, let's start with the first basic question to to get this conversation started. How did photography come to you?
I think it came through my father and my grandfather. I think my grandfather has traveled a lot and photographed a lot actually. So, and my father also used to, I saw while growing up, I saw him take interest in it and photograph a lot of nature. So that's how it started. And it grew on to becoming actually something bigger, where I got into like film photography through interning while I was studying. So yeah, I think that's where it came from. And then I was heavily influenced by films, I think, because also I work in films, but cinema had a big role to play in developing a certain style of language, choosing the kind of mediums that I want to use, photographing the kind of subjects, objects, spaces that I was finding interest in. So yeah. So I remember getting my first Polaroid and being very interested in how it worked, the tactility of it, because generally growing up with screens, that was really amazing to see, going back in time and actually having something physical to take away from an experience. So that grew more and more till I started actually going into film, got my first camera, and yeah, I mean, I don't think I ever looked back. I'm still doing it. So yeah.
So that was how you got initiated into photography. Now how do you have a distinction between your personal and professional projects? I think after following a creative path, and like especially when you start actually choosing it, like when you have chosen it as a profession, then what would you say for you has been a a key difference between when you are approaching a professional project or when you're approaching a personal project?
So I am a person that I like doing like 100 things at the same time, different things. So that's why my personal projects have actually been completely different. Like I don't call myself a professional photographer. Just I have interest in it and I like the medium. But professionally, with set design, it's another world. It actually opens up so many more avenues into the language that you are creating in a frame, and it translates into one another, actually, both of them. But commercially it's very different because you are realizing someone else's vision, and you're doing your best to do that, and you are collaborating. And I'm very grateful to have worked with actually the best people in this industry. So um, working on commercial projects has been very collaborative with me, and that's another journey. But personally, the journey has been spiritual. It has been just writing, photographing, merging all of that together, creating a body of work, So, and apart from that, different interests come, like pottery came for a while, and I have traveled. So again, clicking a lot of pictures. So yeah, I think that's the distinction.
I do believe because the points you're making, like I think in today's creative world, one has to have a set of skills, right? It's always like skill sets. So in the skill sets formula, I think it's very important for one to start honing one skill and like first to go on develop one skill in a way that it becomes kind of a muscle memory,
Yeah, it works.
right?
Yeah, it works differently for different people. Like again, like I am realizing now my process has evolved into being like I have to do 3 projects at the same time for my mind to actually function constantly and constantly try to find solutions and different ideas. So, and for some people can only work in isolation with one idea. So yeah, it's really important to develop as many skills as possible, because your ideas can take a lot of more forms. Even if you have a certain body of work just as photographs, you can translate that into a book, into a website, into an interactive experience. You can add sound to it, make films out of it. So honing a skill set is the most important thing in today's world, I think. And it's actually people are looking for it everywhere you go. If you really know your work, then you get work constantly, because
Yeah,
there's a lot of noise out there, but there's also space for everyone, I would say. If you have something to say, there is space for you to be heard, basically. So
sure. Yeah, because from the skill sets, then like when you have a way of saying something, that is the time you can you can jump onto different mediums, but you would at least know how do you say, the way of communication or the way of communicating to to someone. And I think that is very crucial to learn, and no matter, because obviously in today's day and age we have so many creative courses, there's so many different segregations of it. And at time we I faced that challenge when I was getting into arts. I was thinking whether should I should I do fashion design, should I do communication, should I do fine art. So I think, and now when I have finished a course and I'm sitting on the professional side of things, that is the time one says that it all actually has such a big common link, because
yeah.
no matter what, you have a common language. And then what you have to do professionally in the industry is to basically direct that into different mediums.
Yeah, exactly. Like you can make space in your life for about everything that actually the top 5 things that you want to do. Like like how people used to make distinctions between, oh, why do you prefer clicking digital? Why is film photography dying? So all of those questions are actually not applicable anymore, because there is space for everything. There are enough people who are willing to explore all these mediums. So you can easily find a way for it to coexist, you know, and because your experience with every medium is different and your learnings are different. Like while I'm painting, I'm thinking about something that, you know, makes me want to write probably. So I will take half an hour and just put down everything that comes to my mind. So as much as you will work with your hands, with your, you know, with doing something that is kind of, you, it subconsciously is coming together. So I think, yeah.
Because like what you just said, I think that also brings out another very interesting thing, basically the value of documenting.
Mhm.
And no matter, as you said, like you might be like, because even when I'm painting something, there are times that I spend days actually writing something and then going on to the practicality of paintings.
Yeah.
But that, like I do spend time doing that. And if, especially given the social media and given different means of showcasing work out there, I feel documentation has become a very rigorous part of it. And photography is obviously linked to documenting things in since God knows when. Like it has been a heavy archival.
Exactly. I mean, it started with documentation, and also with the resource kind of resources available to us. Now it is possible to do a lot of things. I mean, like politically, you might hold back, but there are a lot of things that you can actually accomplish if you make full use of the resources that you have. So,
Yeah. Okay, like did say about how forming those questions is different at this point of time, because like sure, things are according to you, film photography and all that is a part, like obviously it's dying and there are not many things happening, but at the same point of time there are also people who are taking, like youngsters who are getting into it and like reviving it in some manner or the other.
yeah.
In that sense, like okay, let's take a distinction between you, like when for example, like when a person is stepping out and they are clicking through the phone, and when a person is stepping out on the street and when they have an instrument which is specifically meant for photography,
Yeah.
and like they're stepping out with that mindset, what what all do you think is different? And at the same point of time, like not to look at clicking from your phone under bad light,
Mhm.
but like just to see like what all one can learn from the aspects of, like when you're stepping out with the camera, and like you should think about these certain values and things, and then when you're stepping out with the phone, probably you can still think in those terms, but like just to have a better experience of actually creating a visual narrative.
So stepping out with your film camera would be, you would consider what time is it, what kind of light there is outside, you know, where you are going. Is it going to be a sparse location? Is it going to be a crowded market? You have to consider all of those, where basically contrasts are high and highlights are low, and
Hmm.
what colors are, how vivid the colors are outside. You will probably, someone who's starting out, who knows that there are only 36 frames in the camera,
Hmm.
will have to kind of consider all of these things. I mean, obviously the first role that I shot was I was just doing everything because I wanted to see what kind of results came from different things. But
Yeah.
the more you get into it, the more you start being very sensitive to these factors. With your phone, I would say a lot of times you can't plan a moment. Most of the times you can't. So when you are out and about in your daily life and you have your phone with you, it makes it much easier to snap moments and not create them. With film, you have to create them, kind of.
Uh-huh.
So with your phone, it gives you just a lot of uh, advantage, basically. to be present, to film and photograph at the same time, to make a video and to photograph at the same time. So that both of them, I think, are equal in my opinion. Both the experiences have their own good parts and side backs.
So, when you were talking about like how you were playing around with your first role of film, and like you're doing everything and you're experimenting, and not only first role, I'm sure like that's a part of the process with whichever project you start with. So in terms of that, like how crazy it is working with film, because I have heard from many people like when you sometimes you aren't really sure about the result, what's going to come out. So how do you work in that manipulation, and how does that dynamic of film affect your work?
Yeah, you never know how it comes out. That's the most exciting part. It can come out blank, and that has happened to me. So but
Right.
it's about, I think, finding the right combination. If you get some films developed and you scan them and then you try editing them, so you like you find the best combination that works for you. But the raw images that you get are are completely not, like, if your camera is damaged, for suppose, or your film is expired, you will get results that you never thought that could actually come on a photograph. So it only increases, like, it increases the possibility of just playing around with what it actually means, what the frame actually means, and decoding it, because there are a lot of moments captured. And this is why when I started clicking, it was a lot about clicking multiple exposures, because it's it was like combining different realities for me, probably without any digital manipulation. So it was a lot about being in the moment, and that what was exciting for me. So yeah, so definitely try it. I mean, and anyone who has thought about it, is contemplating if to do it or not, just there is, I think, no better feeling than to get your film results back. So yeah, definitely try it.
Yeah. Okay, so now let's head on to a bit of a different direction, and let's try and understand your your style or your aesthetic of like what has been your central theme in your works. Like is it, are you a studio photographer, or do you like uh, are you the photographer on the go? Do you like creating spaces? Do you like clicking faces? What all are your
I think it'll be better to show if that's possible, because it's always harder to put into words. So should we show it?
Yeah, absolutely, why not? I think we can just like, you can screen share and we can go
Yeah,
on to your
I'll just.
website.
So I'm currently working on my website. It's just work in progress. I can show you a glimpse. Okay.
Sweet. So not a studio photographer, I would say.
Well, not yet. I mean, I tried that. Digitally, I did try that. Uh,
Right.
it actually works for a lot of people. If you have a good setup, I think you should go for it. If you have lights and cameras and stuff. And I'll show you a little bit more, just another page. So these are photographs that I have clicked. I clicked this when I was with you. I think we were in an exhibition.
You feel if I'm not wrong.
Yeah. So this page is about mostly walking around. I have written a little bit. We'll attach a link to the video once it's finished.
Yes.
So just architecture, buildings, I think streets, different
So
colors.
Spaces
like,
mean a lot to you, right?
sorry, go again.
I'm saying spaces for you, spaces mean a lot to you, right?
I I mean, I find a lot of meaning in them. I
Mm-hmm,
think
mm-hmm.
that's the difference.
And
So
how that's very interesting because professionally you are working as a set designer, and
yeah,
like in the personal side you are clicking spaces, whereas in professional side you are actually like creating spaces.
exactly.
So,
That's the
so
fun.
that's
But a lot of times, like we look for locations that already have a lot of things that we are looking for, and we don't have to build them because a lot of times that kind of authentic architecture, a strange building, the kind of lights that's coming in through the window. So while we look for locations, we do look for all of these things. And then if we are unable to find it or we have to go back in time and recreate something, then we build the sets. So, which
uh,
is very exciting because you get to research a lot about different periods in time, about different cities, about different cultures. So, it's a lot of fun working with different people. And on set, while making sets, it's a lot of fun to kind of collaborate with a lot of people on the ground and work with a lot of materials, uh, come up with solutions, right on the spot. So it's very hands on. It's a really good experience if you are able to do it well and if you are able to do it for long and learn a lot of things. So,
hmm.
yeah, but I know that that's not the end of it, because right now that is the journey, but that journey has to extend into ultimately personal expression, you know
Yeah, yeah,
because commercially, for money, you can only do so much, but to completely satisfy yourself, you have to get into, you have to isolate yourself and think that what is it that I'm looking for, and what is the story that I want to tell. So
yeah. I think that that is definitely a point which I think every artist or a creative person faces that in their professional life, and they're like, they try to have a different segregation about it, but at the same point in time, if you can manage both, like that's that at times it's like literally even
yeah, most of us are managing both. Like you are
yeah,
also
yeah,
managing both only.
yeah.
I just want to point out to your paintings and say that they are very beautiful. And can you tell us how long you took to make that one, the self portrait?
So this self portrait, basically this was when I turned 25, so this was last year, and this project went on for quite some time because I started in one of my, it was a project which was a part of my academic course. I started it like one trimester. In total it took one trimester, so I would say it total took like 2.5 to 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
But at days I would work 1 hour on it, at days I would work more on it, and then we just scrape it off and everything. But yeah, this, I think this means a lot to me, this specifically this piece.
Yeah,
Because the element that I'm wearing in the self portrait is something which I designed, I can see, so it looked like it was all a part of me, and it
and
was the first time long, and I was in that artistic zone of mine.
here it
So
is.
there it is. So yeah, this, like again, like there are projects that you do wherein academically they have to be very strong, or but there might not be, one might feel like there are people who think like, oh, still life, what is with a still life, or what is with just a portrait? But it's one of those things wherein you have to have a lot of relationship with art in that manner.
Yeah. Okay. We link your page and so people can check it out and read
Yeah.
about your amazing work.
Like so this is this is one of my, I guess, like the second portrait or so which I was doing, which was in which I was so much in the zone of really getting in touch with my work, as well as getting in touch and sync with the model. And this also received an award by the All India Art and Craft Society. And this was a very humbling thing for me last year, especially right after graduation. But so when I was doing this portrait, that was the time wherein I was uh, not only just thinking about the academic principles of like proportions and all of those things. I think that is a part of the process which comes into your head during the initial time when you're building onto it. But by the time in between, obviously organically, and when you're especially finishing off a project, that is the time wherein uh, for me, it was more related towards talking about innocence. So, Portrait of Nico was actually personification of innocence in a manner. So there are, we look at things very objectively, but obviously when you just go in depth, there's a lot that you can communicate with the simplest of stuff. Like, what I was earlier trying to say with the still life and all, like, till the time I didn't find out about Shada, I just didn't know how beautiful those the aspect of capturing just a daily movement in a space. Like that was the time wherein I started falling in love with spaces and what the objects are doing. Like sometimes you try to, you like to manipulate them in a certain manner and place them in a certain manner. And but like the beauty when if you compare a still life to a landscape or something would be like when the nature has already placed it and it's placed it in the most gratifying manner.
Exactly.
So it's all about that. It's all about like learning a type of visual narration and a language which
Yeah.
speaks the most. Because even at times, editing nature is also required in order to actually give a true form or represent your uh, whatever you are trying to say as an artist in a correct manner. So landscape artists are known to like move like hundreds of trees from their actual viewpoint and concentrate on that mountain, but like till the time it actually gives the right meaning to their work, that it just works fine.
Yeah.
Now let's do fun activity. Like so, Lavanya and I, we chose a photographer which we thought like we would like to talk about and show you guys few works of his. He's Dirk Brickman, and he's a Belgian photographer. I saw his work when I went for the 2017 Venice Biennale, and I was absolutely in awe because he has these analog pictures of his which have been printed into like really big sizes, and it's like there is the whole mood and atmosphere of them is something which now you guys can see. It's so let's pick out two or three works of his, and then we can just have talk about that. Yeah. So
Interesting.
first one, dear when shall. All right, Lava. What do you? It's a multiple exposure, right?
Yep. It's texture on the ground. I think it's dried leaves superimposed on an empty room, but we can see a family lives here. Hmm. It's a really good example of how you can actually merge a 2D surface into a 3D perspective shot
Yeah. Yeah.
and to convey this feeling of kind of,
And it's adding so much to the personality of of that specific corner, and even how the light has been used, like even when you're seeing so many things because of it being a double exposure, like your eye is still gravitating towards that framed work, and
yeah,
that
exactly. So if you know the rule of thirds, you can see that the where the light is falling, I think is where your eyes are kind of, you know,
it's for
um,
yeah.
yeah. Hmm. For me, it looks like kind of merging two types of, like there's dry leaves, so it's kind of winter, I think, and it's cold inside. You know, it's giving that feeling.
Hmm.
And
Yeah, I love like see that's the beauty of works like when you have so many interpretation about like one specific thing. Like obviously it's so
Yeah.
subjective. Like Lavanya would feel something else, you guys would feel something else. So do share your views later on.
Yeah, and it's
Like
a lot related to actually where light falls in your frame, because you can see that it's traveling from one point in the center, kind of left, to your right corner, which is kind of your line of sight, So
mhm,
it's kind of depicting that the people in the frame are probably, underground, some
hmm.
sort of. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
because,
so it helps a lot in creating that sort of narrative.
true.
And let's
Which
go on to this one.
this I so enjoyed, like as soon as this, like when we first saw it, because
Hmm.
it's it is such a special one, especially given to like how you're seeing this Polaroid kept there, and you see this person so comfortable and so like so comfortable with himself and
Yeah,
in his surroundings. And then in the backdrop you see those droplets on the window pane, and you see probably it is a cold environment outside, and like the whole contrast between like the warm and the cold.
yeah.
I think it's very sweet to look at, and it's
Two opposite axes merged into one frame. So it's frame within a
yeah,
frame. There are frames on the wall. It's quite interesting. And you can take this picture and put it on another wall, and that would make another. Depth.
yeah. And that's the beauty about his works, like especially even when he displayed them, like because of the size and proportion, they really take you into his, like his dimension in a way.
Yeah, I'm just going to look at a few things.
Yeah. Even yeah. See, just a space, and like look at the way the carpet has come out. Ah, another sweet one. The simplest thing of like how you see the whole value gradation.
Yeah, it looks like someone was just sitting there and they have gotten up and left.
Yeah, and like with such, like because they are obviously in Silver Point, and you are seeing so less. It's also minimalistic, yet it it is talking about so much. Like it is giving us different narratives. It is talking about the texture. You can feel the upholstery on those tools. You even the little bit of metal. Like it is all so tangible in a way.
You can say a lot with very little, actually.
Yeah, exactly. And this I think like his works also concentrate and like talks about light in such a beautiful manner, because I think light is one of the precursors which goes on when one is selecting or thinking about a composition.
Mhm.
Because even in artwork, or like when we are any any painting that I'm approaching,
Yeah,
it's you make the thumbnails, right? Like how a composition should look like.
yeah,
And when you do that, like basic thing you're concentrating on is light and shadows. You're not concentrating on the details. Your whole aesthetic is just about how will the light look like, what all will be visible in my frame, what all will not be visible. So
hmm,
you have the light shape, you have the shadow shape. Same thing goes with the figures also. Like there's so much of what all is going on in the light shape and the mystery which the shadow shape offers. Because
exactly.
uh,
And it helps you create depth also. Like if you are like different. different levels and gradation of lighting will help you create a certain sort of depth in a frame. So
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, without that, it'll all just be flat. So it's, I think, one of the most important components of any visual design.
absolutely, absolutely. And I'm like, it's, as you said, like in different manner when you were talking about stepping out with your phone or stepping out with the camera, and how you're talking about, like, you have to think about, because I have seen it with so many of like photo shoots and all which is going on. Like when you're doing a commercial project, you so have to be like make sure what are the sun hours, when's the sun's going to be harsh, when the sun's going to be soft. Like, if you're working in an open environment, these are such very crucial things to think about. And as simple as the same, like, such are like even the simple truths of life, they're simple but they're very, it's the thing which people miss out on. Like it's literally the initial steps that always one misses out on. Like uh, be it while working on a composition, be it uh, even like when we're talking about like documentation and research. Like these are small elements which just takes your work onto another level. So these are certain golden rules that one should definitely have. And on that note, Lavanya, like what are the golden rules that probably like you follow for your photography?
So golden rules, I would say, would be just break all the rules, you know. That's where the fun is. But yeah, you have to try enough things to figure out what works for you. And for everyone, it's a different journey. So but another like rule, as I would say, not, it's not a rule, it would not, I would not say that it's a rule, but like be open to learning as much as possible about different cultures, getting to know different stories. You know, a lot can get lost in translation these days. So I would say just be open to exploring new ideas and new formats and new mediums. And I know that lots of times there are certain rules set, but the only, I mean, you will only be satisfied if you break those rules, you know, and
Yeah.
create a narrative for yourself. Create a narrative for yourself. So yeah, that's about it, I think.
Yeah, I think tapping into different cultures, tapping, like, even with the seed of art and artisans, and this thing that we're doing is related to that, because it's literally getting to know the artisans more, getting to know what
Yeah,
all goes on in your culture. Like, there are so many things that we aren't privy to. Like we live in a certain demographic, we just know what goes on around our area.
yeah.
And it's a different situation when, as an artist, as an independent artist, if you're going someplace and exploring a particular place, uh, and documenting that moment,
Hmm.
that obviously that.
Exploring different perspectives, you know, because not everyone is seeing the world as you are. And very important to find the right kind of resources, the right kind of links, magazines, newspapers, articles, newsletters, whatever you are reading, whatever you are kind of consuming these days. It's really hard to keep an open mind about everything, you know, especially with everything that's going out there. To actually think what you can do differently, it's not very easy, but I think it's the most satisfying thing you can do. So um
Yeah, I think what we will do for you guys is we will also put like links to like different areas wherein or sites that we visit to, like, when while we are doing a research.
yeah,
And like, even I remember it was you only who introduced me to movie, and that as a platform to, like, to get exposed to different kind of visual narratives and direction that goes on, which you will not, obviously not see in the daily mainstream thing.
Yeah, and there
But
are a lot of magazines and a lot of links that curate these websites. So we can probably link some websites where you can find probably authentic information about the artists and artisans around us, and here available to us probably in this country. If you want to probably realize a personal project of yours, so you can easily reach out to them and be open to collaborating, which is actually all this is about. So
yeah. So we'll have different links to that. We will also have link to Lavanya's website, my website, and please feel free to go through them and hit us up if there are any questions that you have. We would be more than happy to answer them later on too. And hope you guys like this was entertaining in any way for you guys, and hope you guys got something out of it. And well, thank you so much again, Lavanya, for joining us here and coming out. And I know it's different times altogether, like taking
yeah,
out time to speak your mind out. This
yeah,
was very interesting.
and it's actually very important to do that because
Yeah,
times are hard. So yeah, thank you for having me, and just keep me updated, and yeah, stay safe.
stay
Cool.
safe, you all. Bye. Thank you.
Bye.